I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, you should have received April 1st meeting minutes by email. Do we need any discussion, any changes, comments? If not, if I could have a motion?
Motion by Bobby. Is there a
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Dr. Holland.
All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, moving on to correspondence, DOH enforcement list. Okay. Jose Rivera. New York State certification revoked 4/2/19, violation 800.16A4. We only have one.
All right, so other correspondence that we received is one of our agencies, Russell Rescue, received a statement of deficiency for failure to operate within 30 days. They needed to do a plan of correction back to the state, and we'll talk about that during my report. And the second one is a letter to confirm that the department concurred with the regional council's decision to transfer the operating authority of R.B. Lawrence to Canton Rescue. That's it for correspondence.
Old business, state EMS meetings. And Mark?
BLS protocols come out and go into effect August 1st. There's going to be eventually maybe some training on them in fact BLS and AEMT. With that is going to probably make some minor changes to the minimum equipment list. The state is looking at some quality metrics. There's 7 of them. They're narrowing down the list. Stroke patients taken to a stroke center. Stroke patients having blood glucose, end-tidal CO2 with intubated patients. Trauma patients meeting CDC criteria to a trauma center, chest pain patients with 12-week cardiac arrest with ROSC, and opioid overdose who refuse. There's some issue with the stop the bleed with nurses in school settings where school nurses cannot use the tourniquets or the hemostatic gauze because it's not patient specific. So Remac has written the commissioner to work with the Department of Education to address that issue. They're looking at getting rid of intubation at the AEMT level. There are 276 AEMTs in the state. 11,000 calls where airway management was needed of those mid-level providers. 1 direct laryngoscopy and 76 supraglottic were done by AEMTs, so they're looking at eliminating intubation from the AEMT with the supraglottic airway devices.
And one of the reasons that they're doing that is trying to bring the AEMT curriculum back to within line with the national standards, because it's difficult for folks coming in. They can't give them reciprocity because New York has all these add-ons into the curriculum, and there's no place really to just go get those add-ons. And they also talked about direct, so foreign body airway obstruction with direct laryngoscopy as well, removing that. And something else, but it'll come back with the new scope of practice that will be going into effect with the national standards and the curriculum.
Other than that, the 102 initial participants in the CC to paramedic bridge, there's currently 100 students enrolled, 94% initial pass rate. This course only fills the gaps. It does not teach what was taught in the CC curriculum way back when. And there's, for 20 closures in 2018, they're expecting the same number this year.
20 EMS agency closures.
20 EMS agency closures, and they're expecting that same number this year. And these are not all closures, some of these are mergers, et cetera. Also, some of them are actually good. And other than some entertaining CON stuff, that was a stable use.
Any questions for Mark?
So you do have a copy of the notes in front of you, so if you have any questions, please let Mark or myself know. We both attended. Just a little addition to the protocol update. So the collaborative protocols also had some updates. The previously approved AEMT updates. The education should hopefully be coming for that as well, so we can roll them out. One of the challenges, I have them both printed on my desk, I haven't been able to do the cross-reference to see exactly what we're going to need for education. We also may need some minor changes to the minimum equipment list. So I would ask this committee if it's okay if we do those by email over the summer or when this gets closer. And I determine what we need for those. And we'll have to put the education together. So their statement was, we'll be doing a brief overview of the new protocols. We'll leave the rest up to the regions. That was the statement on the education for the protocols. They are already posted on the website, if anybody's interested in the Bureau BMS website.
That's it. Remac appointments.
I guess I should pay attention to my own agenda. So with terms expiring, I have it in here somewhere. So these are the recommended recommendations moving forward for the next year. And again, I want to everybody keep in mind, these are open meetings. Everybody can come have their voice expressed.
Can you move it down, Ian? So
Part
There we go.
of the reason for us doing the expiration dates and trying to change people out is to get people more involved. Again, the physicians are the only voting members, and they are open meetings, and everybody can come in and express what they need to say, and bring information and bring good stuff to the table. So Paul Barter was up for expiration, but he came in the midst of the last term, so his was extended. William Rice, who is here with us today, was the chosen one on the new applications that we received as the ALS provider for Jefferson County. So the county representative, we had Chuck in there, but Chuck's no longer with us, and Debbie, we were going to wait and see what Joe's, don't ask me again.
It's just because I'm in the copy.
Okay, over there. So whoever Jefferson County chooses to fill that county seat. So in Lewis County, so usually it's an ALS, a BLS, an educator, and a county representative. But we had no BLS applicants from Lewis County. So at this point, Josh Levesque is going to go into that position, and we will continue to try and entice some BLS to come on board. St. Lawrence County, Melissa Brook was extended because she also came in midterm. And Jonathan Mitchell will be taking Jim Chestnut's spot. He apologizes for not being able to be here. He had a family emergency tonight. So these recommendations will go to the REMSCO, and at that time we will send out letters to those who received once the REMSCO approves, as well as the others. So any questions on this?
Next, we have RSI testing status. Mark?
So the first round of testing happened at Spring Fling, and I forgot to look at numbers, I apologize, but around 10 people tested. There were a handful that did not have success on the written exam. And then there were 4 or 5 that were successful. One thing that, and there's another one planned for if this difficult airway class goes through in the end of June. One thing that was noticeable, there was not a Remac physician there in the morning, and I can ask as many questions as I want and be as absolutely hard as I want. It lacks a level of intensity when it's not from a physician. And so I would love to see more physician involvement with that, because it's much more challenging from a physician.
Are you talking from personal experience, Mark?
Possibly.
He had the butterflies, right, Paul?
Oh, butterflies. Yeah.
I stupid stared for a minute, so.
So what is the next step if some of these people pass? Does that mean they can do that now?
We have no agency applications yet. So that is, as soon as we get agency applications, we'll go through that approval process and we'll be up and running.
Okay, so if you get an agency application next month, we don't meet again until October. So does that mean they won't be able to come online until the October meeting?
Oh, you mean for the agency?
For the
I was gonna say
agency.
we can test in June originally.
That would be up to Dr. Delaney. My thought would be to send it through the airway committee and forward it to her and let her make a final decision.
I just want to have the records reflect what we're
Yes.
doing
My
here.
answer would be to send it through the airway committee, or the
Or
RSI
RSI
committee,
committee.
and then forward it to you for final approval.
Is everyone comfortable with that?
So will there
or
be an
discussion?
inspection?
Yes, or at least some form of verification.
Discussion on that, or?
Is the agency level involvement in the RSI program to verify minimum equipment that's present?
Basically.
Is there a list there?
Mm-hmm.
It's on the policy statement 17 something.
Or CQI too.
It's 100%
Yeah, so that'd be on the
CQI,
agency
video
as well.
laryngoscopy, the minimum equipment basically, but it's 100% CQI plan with the medical director and
The big expense really is the video.
Okay. Any other old business? All right, then we will move on to program agency report. Ann?
Can I start with Spring Fling first? Because we have an award to give out because she wasn't able to be at the banquet. So the region selected Sarah Delaney Rowland as the Physician of Excellence for 2018, and I'd like to read you, we read this for everybody else at the banquet that night. So EMS background, Dr. Sarah Delaney is a board-certified emergency medicine specialist. She is the chairperson of North Country Emergency Physicians Practice in Watertown. She completed her medical education at SUNY Health Science Center in Syracuse, New York. Dr. Delaney completed her residency at Metro Health Medical Center in Cleveland, Ohio. She has been a physician at SMC in Watertown since 2002 and is currently chairperson of the practice. Dr. Delaney has been a part of North Country Remac since 2005. In 2007, she assumed regional medical director and has been involved in 3 protocol revisions. She is also the medical director for multiple agencies. Reason for award nomination. Dr. Delaney is a physician dedicated to assisting EMS in advancing the North Country EMS system. She serves EMS as regional medical director and works with EMS on a daily basis at Samaritan Medical Center's ER. Her professionalism and devotion to EMS allows us to grow as an industry. She works intimately with the program agency and the REMSCO Executive Committee to enhance the North Country's emergency medical services. She is actively involved in education and is passionate about providing support to our volunteer and commercial services. The doctor's dedication to North Country's EMS system has had a direct impact on advancing the system and the quality of care within the North Country. Dr. Delaney spends countless hours ensuring quality education is being offered, as well as ensuring a patient-centric system with a focus on high-quality patient care. Her willingness to assist providers and provide feedback has helped our crews enhance their pre-hospital care. And for these reasons, Dr. Sarah Delaney is the 2018 Physician of Excellence.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. All right, we'll move on to spring cleaning.
She doesn't like it when
Thank you.
she's the,
I know. Do you want to talk about spring cleaning since you started?
Sure, so our numbers were slightly down, but the feedback that we had from the speakers and the attendees was all positive. It almost is a blessing a little bit that it's a little less because moving around and participation is much easier. Didn't really have any negative feedback from anybody. Everybody, I think the speakers were a good caliber and people enjoyed, and doing the online registration and the online certificates is a lifesaver. So that really makes the conference go much smoother. So we've already met and already have some things together for next year's conference. We're going to look at adding a Thursday night dinner. We're going to look at doing a Taco Thursday and doing some different things. And so always looking to improve it. So please, if you received any feedback or you were in attendance, if you have something, please make sure you share with us so that we can continue to, we're competing with other conferences. There was one other conference that weekend and one 2 weeks later. And with so much online registration now and online training that people can do, it's important that we make sure that we do what we can to preserve this conference. I think if nothing else, it's a great camaraderie and gets people together and sharing best practices. So please share with us if there's something that we can do better, different, add.
Thank you, Debbie. Anything
Anyone
Anyone have any questions or comments for Debbie or Ann regarding Spring Fling? Okay, we'll move on to modalities.
Alright, so let's go through the report. So we haven't had a trauma or stroke committee meeting since our last meeting. The next one will be June 21st in Syracuse. So level of care changes. So JS Coster was previously approved to upgrade to the AEMT level. We extended. They are now ready for inspection, and I will be scheduling that. They let me know last week, and I just haven't found a available date yet that I can go down there and do that, but hopefully soon. So Wrestle Rescue, we talked about that a little bit. They have no EMTs, or maybe one, and they're unable to answer their calls. We've had a couple months where they have not answered a call at all. So they are in the process of transferring their CON to Herman Rescue. The area is also covered by both Canton Rescue and Governor Rescue. So hopefully we can make them first responders. Again, they have been given the paperwork. I have not received any of that back. Richfield, DeKalb, ALSFR, they have no more advanced providers credentialed in the region. They're going to surrender their CON and they will obtain a BLSFR agency code. One of the things that they talked about on our last phone call with the Department of Health is if an agency is surrendering their certificate of need, they don't have to go through the extensive BLSFR paperwork, but can do a shortened version of that. So I'm working with them right now on that. I will need a vote on the next, which will be Cranberry Lake. They're going from the paramedic level to BLS level. Their narcotics have been removed as they have no more advanced providers. Receipt was received for those, and I have the original narcotics license. I'll be mailing it certified to DOH tomorrow. And all the ALS equipment has been removed, so that needs a vote of approval.
So moved.
Have a second? All in favor? Any opposed?
So, I mean, if you take a look up there, there's a little bit of pattern starting there. And I think it may get worse before it gets better, especially in St. Lawrence County. There seems to be only a handful of advanced providers, and just go from one agency to another. So, a couple new public access defibrillation applications that we received.
Burgess is closing.
Virgin.
Yeah.
I thought it was weird too.
Yeah, but I think it's done next month, I think. I think it was July.
Yeah.
Well, when did we get this?
It ended April, May.
Yeah?
Probably after the announcement.
Yeah.
You probably needed it that day, right? So regional BLS adjuncts that we will need approvals for, so BLS Narcan for Black River Ambulance, and BLS CPAP for Black River Ambulance and Evans Mills Ambulance. And we will need approvals for those.
Motion to approve.
Second. Thanks, Dr. Coates. All in favor? Any opposed?
All right, well, this is quick. This is actually. So, new EPCR agency, so Lewis County won this one. So we have Constableville, West Leiden, Lyons Falls went live with IPCR Forte Holdings. And, whoops, I thought I had that Coverdale slide there. It's probably still hidden. Coverdale, actually, and I may get to it later, but I have a feeling I didn't unhide the slide. So the Coverdale Stroke Program, which has allowed agencies to come on board free for a year to electronic PCR, utilizing direct entry into the image trend system, is going to extend that opportunity for new agencies coming in for another year. So remember, a year ago, we made an approval that within 3 years, all transport and ALSFR agencies would be electronic. So we will now be able to continue to provide them that opportunity as we move forward. PCR delinquencies, so Redwood's up there. I'm going to be reaching out to Chris to get some dispatch records from them. We have received some no activity reports, and I need to determine whether there was no activity, they did not receive any calls, or they were unable to respond to calls. And then again, Russell, we were aware of that. They were just not able to respond to any calls that they had, and we are working on that issue. Otherwise, everybody's been pretty good. Who's left on paper PCRs getting them to us. Oh, there's my slide. So much for being in order. Again, hospital hub for the hospitals. This is going to be how you're going to be able to access PCRs. I'm hoping to be catching up with the hospitals to come meet with them to address EM resource and get it set up, as well as getting folks into Hospital Hub. Everybody's hospital should have received letters. I've sent out multiple notices, but we need to make sure you get signed up on there, so it'll be actually great for your medical records, folks. And sometimes instead of having to try and get a PCR, they can go into Hospital Hub and get an EPCR for agencies that have transported to the hospital. Okay. Hopefully by the end of the year, everybody will be transitioned over to NEMSIS v3, so all charts, irregardless of vendor, will be in this Hospital Hub system. So CME skill sessions. So as you know, here's a bunch of them that are scheduled, and Carthage Area Rescue Squad wanted to become a CME evaluator agency. We had given them visual approval. So the one thing that I want to talk about is these sessions. When we brought forth this process, part of it was we'd have some folks that would get out to some of these sessions that how the standards of the Remac and REMSCO to ensure that they are truly doing the skills sessions and doing the skills with the providers. And I can't be heading all these sessions, so I'm going to be reaching out to this committee as well as the Remsco, consider this to be my reach out, that if we have some folks that are available to help, just do some spot checks on here. And make sure that they're actually doing the CMEs scenario based, and these providers are getting hands-on skills. So if you can help with any of these, they're all listed on our websites, please let me know. Any questions on that? So Carthage, we've given them provisional approval.
I think that
All
should
right.
be tabled.
Yeah.
Is it on the table?
Okay,
Table it.
we're gonna table that. All right, so Fort Drum EMS Day will be on June 8th, so Dr. Cartier will be presenting, and we will be doing some hands-on in the afternoon, including the registered providers being able to go through the simulation lab, do some bleeding control, do the litter obstacle course with some of the soldiers, and having the aircraft there, both LifeNet and the Blackhawk, right?
I'll double check to make sure that they're planning on that.
Okay.
I think that was the plan.
Yep. So that'll be a great opportunity for them. We're hoping to do a difficult airway class June 22nd and 23rd at Camp Potsdam Hospital. We only have 5 people registered. Camp Potsdam Hospital is going to be helping us out with some of the refreshments. And under Fort Drum, oh no, that's the next meeting, never mind. I'm trying to remember. So EM Resource, again, this is the same as my slide last time, but guess what? We are going live June 3rd. We're not even close to getting this set up. So again, hopefully I'll be able to have some focus on this moving forward. It's just been really busy lately, but there's a lot of money that was put into this system. It's an absolute great communication tool. And one of the things I'll say is, like the other day, I had some meetings in the morning and never checked my email. I get into the office at 10 o'clock-ish, and I have an email from a hospital saying our radio consoles are down. Please let folks know. Well, they went down at 8 o'clock that morning, and I didn't get the message until 10 o'clock. So then I forwarded it on to the county folks to put out, but it's really a great system that will save staff in the hospitals a whole lot of time, so we really need to get this going. So they were continuing to push for pediatric emergency care coordinators. I'd like to congratulate Lyons Falls Fire Department on being our newest agency. I did a survey today, and one of the things that they ask is if there are any of these departments that have done anything specific pediatric-wise since they've had a coordinator named. And the only one that I am aware of right now is got some different equipment based on that. And I will be reaching out to ask the others. So for future reports, so we can ensure that that's in there. And we just resent out the flyer again. They made some changes to it, and they should be sending these agencies. Are you guys?
You had a certificate, yeah.
Yeah. Are you guys getting any resources? Is your contacts getting any resources for this?
Not that I'm aware of.
Because we push stuff out, so.
Email occasionally, that's it.
Yeah. That's pretty much what it is. They also asked me for suggestions, and I had said that, maybe for the folks that are doing this, that if they have additional grant monies, that some type of pediatric-specific equipment that could go to all these agencies would be nice. So. Questions for me? That's it, short and sweet tonight.
Okay, we'll move on to new business then, protocols.
I think we already talked about them. How do you like that?
Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
Alright.
pretty much, I'll be doing a cross-reference on these, and, do some communications out, because I'm gonna have to come up with some education, and, again, probably some changes to the equipment list.
Okay.
Well, maybe we should take a second and talk about that. When we had the last protocol change on spinal immobilization and everything, and we did our new collaborative protocols, we had people sign an attestation that they had done it, and it was kept at the agencies. And we gave CME credit for that. Is there any reason we shouldn't look at going that same route again and giving some CME credit for doing the review at the agency level and signing something that's kept there, that they've reviewed them and that they're following them?
It's the easiest way to do it, is to do it online with a,
Can we do it right through the CME system that we have already set up, so then we can catch any stragglers too that haven't registered?
Yeah, and again, we're not 100% sure what the state's putting out yet, but absolutely, definitely for the collaboratives, because that's our responsibility, but we can do that for the BOS as well, especially if we're gonna have to do additional education.
it may be, regardless of what the state puts out, making them attest to reviewing it on the website forces everyone to be in, and they're, to be in good standing.
So the other, now that we're talking about CME, is just under new business. So as Mark talked about, there is a handful of providers that are doing, a little more than a handful, within the region that are doing the CC to paramedic bridge. The actual work for this is pretty extensive, the online work, unless they remember everything they were taught 20 years ago. And I will tell you that each module, they are putting well over the 20 required hours for a CC under each module. So does anybody have an issue for the folks that are doing the CC to Bridge program, giving them their didactic time of 20 plus hours for this year? The program goes through February of next year. They would still have to do their skills, but it should count for didactic time. It's really, really extensive.
Is there any skills component to that?
No, well, there is, but towards the end.
That'll be in January, February.
Could we do that next year too? Like give them the skills portion next year for their first?
Potentially, yeah, I'm not sure, Paul, may be better able to.
Well, we have to do the practical, so we'll get our
You'll have the
skills.
skills.
Because we have to do the practical.
Doing way more than enough work. I think it's well worth giving them the didactic for this year.
And then depending on how it falls, there may be enough didactic for next year too, because as I said, I don't know, without looking at a schedule, so you have the January.
We test February 20th, so.
And, yeah, so, but we can look at that, but they definitely have 20 plus that a CC requires for,
20 plus a month.
for their annual, so I just wanted to touch base with everybody on that, so.
Okay, Debbie has calendar for next year.
So we put out the 2019, 2020 Remac REMSCO schedule. Would prefer to continue to have the meetings the same night, if that works for you folks. We had a state conference call on our REMSCO $25,000 a year budget, and it was more like a proctology exam. And down to, we need to spell out the mileage, who we're reimbursing mileage, and that they attest that they live further than so much away and all this stuff. And we said a lot of things we do to help to do with funds is having the meetings the same night and things like that. So the October meeting correlates after the September State Council, the February after the January State Council. April is our annual meeting. We do, per our bylaws, have to have it then. And then we fall back with June and October again. Location I put to be determined because I wanted to get feedback from tonight, especially with the Remsco with a bigger group in here to make sure that nobody has a problem with us meeting here. So that's why it says to be determined. And we left the dinner would be available at 6:30. We'll be discussing that at the Remsco meeting because we no longer can use Remsco funds for that either. And the Remac CQI committee meeting, we left on there in case there were CQI issues that needed to be discussed.
Comments, discussion? Works for everybody? Okay, quite a bunch tonight.
I know.
Does anyone else have any other new business they'd like to bring forward?
I have some clarification. The RTAC meeting, it's reported at the last Remac meeting that at RTAC it was 25% of patients that were flown to SUNY for trauma were discharged from the ER. Apparently that ruffled some feathers. A physician apparently misspoke, and LifeNet followed up with me a week or two ago. 1% of the patients statewide that were flown to University Medical Center were discharged from the ER, which actually indicates underutilization of SEAM paramedical services, because the national average is around 10%, and we should be closer to that number.
I think in the winter it's more difficult. They can't fly, so I think that lowers our numbers.
This spring has been awful too.
Has it?
Yeah. Low
Well, you need to have
ceiling is
fins
fine.
on your helicopters.
Yeah, I couldn't fly somebody, I tried to fly somebody out yesterday, I had some of my fixed wing.
Ceilings and fog, the moisture and dew point, the dew point has been way too close to the temperature. It's just been ridiculous.
Thank you. Anything else before we adjourn? Okay. Someone want to make a motion?
Do you have CQI? You need to have CQI?
Yeah, I would like to just chat with some things with the physicians. I'll move to close.
We have a second. Thank you. All right, thank you, everyone. Where are we going to do CQI?
Right in my office.
Okay, we'll go to Ann's office for CQI. We're going to do some